Hey, what's going on? This is Thomas Galdenzi with Combat Sports Coverage. I'm here interviewing the Double Champ Kenndall Lewis over his upcoming pro debut March 2nd for c.s.c 73 live on UFC Fight Pass. So, Double Champ, tell me how you're feeling heading into the biggest fight of your life.
I feel amazing.
And tell me where and who you're training with and out of.
I train with Bobby Powers in College Station at Wendy's Sport and Fitness. And in Houston, I train with Jeremy Mahone at War Training Center.
Oh, those are both great coaches. I know both of them personally, and those are great coaches to have in your corner and with you. So that's awesome to hear. And tell me, what are you doing, in training? How many times do you train a day? What's a normal training day for you?
Well, as an amateur, I really only train once a day. And once I decided to go pro, I started training twice a day with my job. So I work from literally 8:30, 5:30 every day. I wake up in the morning, get a good run in, and then I get to training in the evening from about 6 to 8 or whenever I leave.
Oh, wow.
So I've been picking it up to 2 a day. I don't really, my off days are run days. So
yeah, keep
really
that cardio.
And
then,
yeah.
So, since you brought that up, what is the biggest difference for the listeners that might not know? What is the biggest difference between amateur and pro rules? Because I know the biggest one I would say was probably the elbows. Now you'll be able to throw elbows to the head and stuff. While in amateurs you're not. But what's another good one that you can think of? That's a big difference.
Well, for me, most definitely, I love watching if you watch Anderson Silva. Watch all his fights. He does a lot of clinch knees, so reinforced knees, basically pull the head down, knee in the face. So now I'll be able to do that. I can implement more into my striking. Wise, I can knee to the head, elbow, and the biggest difference is going from 3 minutes to 5. But with the cardio work we've been putting in, that shouldn't be a factor.
And that's another question actually I was about to bring up was, what are you doing, specifically different, because you are going up as a pro now and your rounds will be longer and you'll be fighting tougher competition. Is there anything that you're saying that you're doing differently?
Yeah. So, some people train for they do the minimum of 5 rounds, 3 rounds, 5 minutes, but we actually pick it up. It's a 3-round fight, but whenever we train, I do at least 5 to 6 rounds of sparring, pad work, cardio. We have a minimum at our gym. We run 15 miles a week at minimum. So I pick it up to try to bust at least 20 miles a week. That's the toughest part. Finding time to pick that up and to find time to run and to put the work in, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And so how do you see this fight playing out with your opponent? Most of your fights before this, you have a great record. You're 6-1, and 5 of those are all by finishes, which is awesome. And you're a 2-time double amateur champ for 2 different organizations. So how do you see this fight playing out with your opponent on March 2nd?
I'm sure he's going to be a tough guy. He's going to be a tough opponent. But I got in my mind set on I got to finish him. It's the biggest fight of my career. I have to finish him to solidify greatness, to solidify for my gym, for my team, for my family. I have to win. If that makes you got to get that knockout.
And what round would you say? You're going to try to get that knockout, or do you predict it in?
I wouldn't say I would really pick a round. Just really whenever I see the opportunity, that's whenever it'll happen. It could be the first round, second round, or the third. It just depends on whenever I see the opportunity to finish them.
I like that mindset. Always looking for the finish and staying sharp. And then what would you say is your biggest strength as a fighter? Is it your power? Is it your speed? Is it your mind? Is it your will to win a fight?
I'd say my biggest thing that I have over most fighters is my mentality. My mentality is great. I believe that if you believe in your heart and in your mind that you can achieve something, it'll come to light. Like Conor McGregor said in one of his interviews, his mentality he will finish you regardless. He will do his best to win. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
His mentality is on like a different level. That's why he has reigned for so long as double champ. You know, in the UFC.
And is that one of your favorite fighters, or who's like one of the fighters that you look up to the most?
Man, that's a tough question. I got a bunch. I love a lot of fighters. I would say my top two fighters are Anderson Silva and Israel. And they're fighting this weekend, so yeah.
That's funny, exactly.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. I love Anderson just because he's a dog, man. His striking is so amazing, and Israel is too. You know, he's like 69-3 as a kickboxer. So
wow.
Yeah, dude's a beast.
Yeah, I've been seeing both. They're like, since they do have that fight coming up this weekend, I've been watching a lot on both of them, and that's going to be a great fight. Who do you predict in that fight? Who's going to win that one?
Man, I love Anderson, but I'm going to have to go with Israel on this one, man, just because he's young and hungry, and he's so fast.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great fight. I agree with you on that too. Who's going to win? I would love to see Anderson win, but I feel like the time's caught up with him. But we'll see. It's going down tonight, so that'll be a good one.
Yeah, I definitely think it's like a passing of the torch. Like that's what it's going to come down to with him.
And let's talk about, so you're a two-time amateur champion for two different promotions. And let's talk about those last two victories you had inside the cage at 175 pounds.
So, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. Yeah, so just tell me about both those fights. I know how you won both of them by finish. So let's talk about your most recent title that you won.
I fought Mikey Patterson. Dude's I respect him a lot, man. He's a great fighter. Dude's tough as nails. Going through training camp, we was just like, okay, we gotta watch out for his big hooks and his takedowns, as the fight goes on, we was watching film. He gets better. You know what I mean? So I was talking to one of my coaches, and we were like, okay, we can't let him get too comfortable or too loose, because once he does, he'll start getting into his mode, and then he'll, start doing
grooving,
what he wants to do. Yeah. So, moral of the story, we was just like, okay, we gotta pick him apart. If he's standing in front of us, we gotta get off. If I get him against the cage, I have to be myself, as in just letting punches fly, kicks fly, everything. So, and it's weird because it worked out the exact same way we planned it out, if that makes sense.
And tell everybody how you finished them.
I won by knockout. First round, I think it was like 30 seconds or something around that about that. Yeah, so dude's he's tough, man, but so he's a tough guy. And
which title fight was harder for you? Was that the one you would say?
Honestly, I mean, I'd say they both were tough. Just looking at the competition, whenever I fought for the VFL belt, it was against Muhammad, and I didn't win until the third round. But yeah, I mean, they both are tough. I was literally hitting them as hard as I could, and they wouldn't fall at first. So I was like, man, I got to keep going, and it played out in my favor. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, both those fights, everyone should check them out. They're great fights to see. And then also, what belt do you think looks prettier out of those two?
Man, I honestly am going to have to go with the Valor one, just because the gold kind of sticks out a little bit more.
Nice. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Do they weigh about the same?
Yeah, they're both pretty heavy. I say they weigh about 10 to 12 pounds.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot heavier than I would expect. That's awesome. And then, do you have anything, like, what are your goals for this year? You're starting off this year, 2019, we're just in February, you're making your pro debut, and everything's most likely, hopefully everything goes great, and you get a great finish like you're shooting for. And what else, let's just say in a great world, you win this fight by a beautiful finish, and then what would you do moving forward for the rest of the year? What do you got planned?
So basically, we're at least trying to fight 3 to 4 times this year. Trying to go 4-0, 3-0, 4-0, whatever we can get. If when I win on March 2nd, basically we're going to talk to the promoters, see if we can get another fight lined up with c.s.c.
Oh, wow.
and work from there. I mean, whatever's in store for me, my coaches, they got my best interest, so I trust their judgment. So I'm ready to rock with whatever.
That's awesome. And how like, I mean, you seem like a pretty big guy. How much weight do you cut to make 170 pounds?
Ooh, I normally walk around at like 195. So, and I don't really start cutting. Like, I haven't even started cutting yet. So, right now I'm probably like 190, 189 roughly. So, I probably won't start cutting until like the week of. But yeah, we do a pretty good job on that.
You cut a good amount of weight.
Yeah, I cut a good amount of weight. That way, that way I know for my first fight, I cut like horribly, and I got tired real fast. So now, cutting weight for 7 fights, I know how my body is and how it works whenever I'm cutting weight, and I know, what to do and how to do it. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then, so here's another question. One of the questions I ask all the guys on the show, I always ask them, it's just a little funny question kind of, but if you had any superhero power, what would it be and why?
Dang, man, I'd probably say flying. That way I can, I don't have to have a car. I can travel the world whenever I want to. You know what I mean? So I think that'd be cool.
That would definitely be nice. Yeah, save some money, be able to go wherever you want, beat the traffic and stuff. Yeah. Definitely nice. And then is there any other fights on the card that you're looking forward to March 2nd for CFFC 73 that you'll be fighting on?
It's a heavyweight, some heavyweights fighting for a belt, and I think that fight would literally bring fireworks just because it's heavyweights. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, everybody loves watching two big guys throwing hands.
Yeah, who would want to see heavyweights knock each other out? But I haven't really looked too much into the card. I just been focusing on myself. But yeah, I've seen those guys, and I think that'll be a good fight.
Yeah, I agree. I love watching heavyweights fights, man. Someone's going to get hurt and get finished quick.
Yeah.
And then we touched base on this a little bit earlier, but who are your picks for this tonight's fight between the UFC's 185-pound title, Calvin Gastelum versus Robert Whittaker? Who do you think will take that fight?
I got Whittaker.
And how do you think it's going to play out and stuff?
I think Whittaker, he either knocks him out in the first 3 rounds or he grinds him out until the end. He wins by decision.
Nice. I definitely agree, and I can see that. And so your 2 picks for tonight's UFC fights are Robert Whittaker and Israel?
Israel, yes, sir.
Perfect. That's awesome. And then, so before we end this or anything, is there anyone you want to give any shout-outs to?
Yeah, man. I shout out to a few of my sponsors. Shout out to Rodriguez Tire Center. They always been there for me, helping me out in Bryan College Station. They run a tire center, so if you ever need a tire, go check them out. And shout out to my coaches, Jeremy Mahone and Bobby Powers. They've been with me since day one, working with me, riding it out. And to my wife, thank you for being there for me. I know it's tough, and my daughter, Aaliyah. I do this. This is why I do this, so we can have a better life. So
that's awesome. And just before we go, just tell everybody where they can find you and check you out at.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at @the_real_Kenndall Slice, or you can look me up on Facebook, Kenndall Lewis MMA. That's my MMA page. You can check that out. I don't have a Twitter. I don't really be on Twitter, but I guess I'll make one.
Right.
But yeah.
Awesome. Well, everyone, make sure to check out Kenndall Lewis fighting March 2nd for CFFC 73 live on UFC Fight Pass. If y'all enjoyed that video, please hit that like and subscribe button below. And special thank you to our sponsors, NewSkylineListings.com, your home for commercial and residential real estate.